Hello again from my front porch. This episode is going to be maybe just a smidge weird, a little strange. It's a topic that I actually I have this list in my phone of potential front porch topics, things that pop in my mind at different times. Of that'd be really interesting to talk about. But then it's like I kind of want to make them relevant as well. So it's like, oh well, I'll wait until there's something going on in the cultural stream that will allow me to take this thing I want to talk about and find a way to connect it to that. This particular topic is one that I've really struggled with. How can I possibly tie it into something? And so it's just kind of sat there. And so now that I'm trying to crank out a bunch of episodes to, quote, fill the gap, as Gary Jenkins indicated I should do with the whole writer's strike going on, it's like, well, I can put it in. It's not a filler episode. Don't call it that. Like I said, it's one that I've wanted to do for a while. I just couldn't figure out a reason to slip it in. Well, now it's like I don't need a reason. I'm just trying to make episodes, and so I can throw them all at the wall. It's fine. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. I don't know. But I want to talk about prehistory history. Now, what I mean by that is we tend to define history by what we have documented, what we have recorded. And then we talk about prehistory being everything that happened before that. Now, I suppose I could tie this to, there was a report I saw, I don't remember now the exact number. I should have, because I could have tied it to that, I suppose, very, very loosely. But I saw an article that said now researchers are saying that they think that our universe is like 27 billion years old, twice as long as they had previously. It's like, how do you, where does that even come from? That's just. I mean, maybe it's that old. I don't know, but how? I know. Scientists will say, "Oh, there's a good reason." But ultimately, it really all of it comes down to educated guess. Unless there's hard fact that you're looking at and you can measure, this is it. It's all just educated guess. That's all it is. And in the end, even things like radiocarbon dating. That has its drawbacks. It has its limitations. It has even its critics that say it's not always accurate. It's not always valid. And there are reasons why something might be off on carbon dating. There's all kinds of stuff that even the things that we can find that are tangible and physical, it's sometimes difficult to say absolute certainty this is what it is. And of course, one of the biggest areas we run into that is the constant desire to find the, quote, missing link, as mankind just bends over backwards trying to prove that we just came from nothingness, that we owe no allegiance to any creator anywhere, whether it be the God of Christianity or a God of other religions or extraterrestrials or whatever. We don't owe anything to anybody. We are self-made, just out of the goo here on our own planet. I will tell you, first of all, I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that we just evolved from nothingness. I mean, there is way too much complexity to who we are. And people say, well, proof that something was created is because it's just right. If our oxygen level is just a little different, if the size of the planet is a little bit. Well, yeah, that is true. Life as we know it wouldn't exist if there were slight little changes, but that doesn't mean there still wouldn't be life. It just wouldn't be. The life we have now on this planet is here because the planet is what it is. Now, is that by design? Personally, I think so. I think there is a designer behind what we have, but I'm not wanting to go off into that area right now. That's actually a pretty big topic for another episode. But what I want to talk about here is, as I said, prehistory history. See, all around our planet, there are these structures, these entire cities where it appears there was a civilization that nobody knows anything about. But they seem to be pretty advanced. that they built structures that are still there, sometimes things that we can't even replicate now using laser technology and computer machinery, and that we would have trouble doing things that we find from a civilization nobody can even remember. And again, if you listen to a mainstream scientist, a standard archaeologist, they will have, well, this is just because you don't remember something doesn't mean. And there is truth to that. I mean, we have people today who question, did we even land on the moon? There are people today that question whether the Holocaust actually happened. There are people that just actual documented historical events that have happened within the lifetimes of people who are still alive right now on our planet, that there are other people who are going, I don't know that really, I don't know, are you sure? And so to think that you go back to a point where many hundreds, thousands of years ago, that there might have been a civilization that was abandoned, shut down, and people went on, moved on, and that by this point down the road, nobody remembers anything about it. Yeah, it's totally believable. Totally believable. But here's the part that I think is interesting. Actually, irritating is a better description. We find in the oceans and lakes around the world, there are these submerged entire cities that at one time were on dry ground, and now they're deep underwater. The cliche standard science, well, obviously there was an earthquake and the ground shifted, and that whole city just went whoop down the water. That was probably the inspiration for the Atlantis story. That's probably what that was. Or there was an asteroid that hit and it just changed everything. Now, are all those things possible? Sure, they're possible. But you know what also is possible, in my opinion? Again, I'm not a trained scientist, so take this for what it's worth. This is why this is an oddball episode that I can't figure out where to fit in anywhere. In my opinion, I agree with those who think that there was possibly an entire worldwide bunch of civilizations that existed prior to the civilizations we know about. Increasingly, the researchers uncover these buried structures and buried cities that, they're like, well, gee, how did hunter-gatherers build this? How did they? We didn't think that they were doing this kind of thing back in that day. Well, maybe because you're wrong. Maybe because you have made assumptions upon assumptions upon assumptions. Educated guess upon educated guess upon educated guess, and you've gotten farther and farther away from actual documented verifiable truth. And then all of a sudden we dig in the ground, we pull something out, we go, well, now that doesn't fit the story, the narrative that we've put together. Well, maybe our narrative is wrong. Did you ever think about that? I think that's the case. I think the reason that a lot of these other structures exist is because long ago there were other civilizations. Now, there is actually an interesting interpretation of the Genesis 1:1 passage, which we all know. It says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and it goes on. Well, there is one interpretation of that passage that says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and like semicolon, and the earth became without form and void. Now, originally when that interpretation was floated, as I understand it, I wasn't there when it happened, but originally my understanding is that people were saying created. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth became. It was without form and void, but it became. Okay. Well, I don't fault that. I don't. But here's an interesting twist, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying it's interesting. What if there's another interpretation of that says that it became without form and void means there was something that in the beginning, whenever that was, apparently 47 billion years ago or 27 billion years ago, whatever, but in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Big time jump ahead. And the earth became without form and void. Again, I'm just saying, what if that is the interpretation? What if there's a whole bunch between those phrases that is not recorded? Why? Because it's not related to us. It's not necessary. The point of the Bible is to guide us, the people who are here right now on this planet, to guide us. It doesn't really matter who may have been here before us, who God may have had to wipe out, who may have wiped themselves out. Because I know this is going to sound, Paul, I should have put my tinfoil hat on for this episode. There is proof in the Middle East. There's areas where the sand has been turned into, is it Middle East or is it India? I think it's closer to India. But where the sand has been crystallized, almost made into glass, similar to what we see when there is an atomic bomb explosion. And so what if there was an entire civilization not all that different from ours now that existed way back in prehistory, and they went down the exact same stupidity path that we're going down right now of mutual destruction, only they actually did it. And it went woof. The earth became without form and void. Now, that's a little poetic licensing. Obviously, it's still there. But just think, there's all these explanations as to, what happened to the dinosaur, where the things go, the environmental changes, that the poles, the magnetic poles shifted. What if instead of all the theories and conjectures, what if there was a whole nother race of us, prehistory, that so screwed things up that they actually caused all of that? And basically hit the reset button on God's creation. And we are, what version 2, humanity 2.0. Yeah, I know. You're saying, Paul, what in the world? What is wrong with you? Did you've been breathing in the Canadian smoke too much? Maybe, I don't know. But I just think this is fascinating. Now, understand. I in no way, shape, or form think that, there are some people who say, nope, the earth is only 6,000 years old because God created in 6 days. See, I don't get hung up on that. I believe God created everything. And I believe that the things that we read in Scripture are not just allegory, that these are events that actually took place. Having said that, I don't believe that just because the Genesis accounts the 6 days that God created, I don't believe that means that it was 6 literal days as we know them today. I think that's just description. It's more, in my mind, it's phases. God created phase 1. God created this. Phase 2. He created this. Phase 3. And you say, oh, well, Paul, you're questioning God. No, I'm not. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he did it in 1 day or if that what we are calling 1 day was a million years. I don't care. If there is a being that we call God who did that, that's still God. See, it doesn't shake my faith. It doesn't cause my faith to waver by saying, well, this is a possibility. It also does not shake my faith to think that there could have been a whole nother iteration of humanity or lizard people or who knows what, and that group of individuals decimated the planet, that they caused their own demise and destruction, and that as a result of that, God steps back in and tries to provide some more structure, some more guidance, some more definition, some more boundaries for humanity 2.0 to follow, so that we don't go down that same path. And yet, we're still stupid. See, God keeps giving us free will, which, thank you, I appreciate the free will. However, a lot of people just really don't know what to do with that. They're not very responsible with it. And so we repeat history over and over. And we also know that God has different times completely, he flooded this world. He's destroyed entire peoples, entire cities. So it's like, I'm not going to put it above him. Whatever may have happened in the past. I'm not trying to get in a big theological discussion with that. That's not my point here. My point is I'm just saying I think that there can be a really strong case made for prehistory history, a pre-civilization civilization. I think there is more than substantial, sufficient evidence to back up that there were peoples here on this planet before anything we have recorded right now. Well, Paul, who were they? What did they do? Well, I don't know because it's not recorded. We don't have a lot of it left. So some of it you just kind of take by faith. Some of it you just have to believe. But you know what? That's the same thing scientists are doing. When scientists tell you, well, we think that this happened and then this and this and this, they're doing the same thing. Well, yeah, but they studied this. They went to school. They have certificates hanging on their wall that say they're smart. I don't care. That's not the point. Is they're guessing just like anybody else. Yeah, they found some bits and pieces of stuff, but then from there they make an assumption and then they build on that. They take that assumption and they assume from it, and then from here they assume again. They go and they build out this whole narrative that's based on a lot of guess. That's all it is. Who's to say that guess is wrong? Who's to say the guess that I'm now throwing out there is crazy? Who's to say that it's completely off base? Perhaps reality is somewhere in the middle of it all. But you see, we can't really examine that because when you start talking the way I'm talking now about these kind of things, people call you crazy. They say you're insane. They're saying, no, that's weird, Paul. You can't talk like that. Maybe if we'd stop just dismissing such things and we'd actually look at things with an open mind and an open eye, we might just discover that the stuff we believe is not really exactly as we've been led to believe it is. That's all I'm saying. So, that's it. That's the ramblings of a madman, if you will. I'm glad I got that off my chest. But really, I do think that there is a lot of merit to that, and you know, I'm really intrigued by what that means. If there was a pre-civilization civilization, that does not shake my belief in God. If there was prehistory history that has been lost, that doesn't cause me to question humanity today or what we're doing today. Now, it might cause me to go, are there lessons that we learned the hard way once that we have now forgotten and we're about to teach ourselves again? That thought may occur to me. Yeah. And I'm not completely convinced that's not exactly what's happening. Well, that's kind of a downer note to end an episode on. But anyway, I don't really have anything else to say on this topic. Well, that's not at all true. I could talk about it for a long time, but it's already wearing on long, so I'm going to let you go. And I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.